Hey everyone, today I want to review the Cold Steel Spartan. Before we get to this, be sure to smash that like button and subscribe. The steel on this knife is AUS 10A. The blade length is 4.5 inches long. The total handle length from end to end is 6 inches long. The amount of room for your fingers is 3 3/4 inches long on this knife. I wear extra large gloves, and this knife fits me just fine. The closed width of this knife is 2 1/4 inches wide at the widest point, and the handle scales are made of grivery. The inspiration for this knife comes from the kopis, which is a type of one-handed Greek sword that locks your hand into position, similar to the shape of the handle of this knife, and the blade of a kopis is recurve, which is why the blade of this knife is recurve. The edge on this knife out of box is pretty good. It was shaving hair out of box. It was pulling a little bit, but just a few passes on a strop, and this knife was shaving hair cleanly. The steel holds a pretty good edge, and it retains that edge for a pretty long time without being too difficult to resharpen. Now, that said, this blade is going to be a bit more difficult for most people to sharpen, not because of the hardness of the steel, but rather the blade shape. For most people, they will find that this is more difficult. If you know what you're doing, it's really not a big deal though. I also like that this is an ambidextrous design. It is the same thing to open and close it on both sides, so this is a good lefty knife. It also has a pocket clip that can go on the other side, so if you do want to carry this in your left pocket or carry this with the intention of doing a reverse grip draw, you can do that. The knife can be waved out of the pocket because of the thumb plate. So that's another thing that I really like. So this knife gives you quite a few options. You can open it manually, you can wave it open, and also that thumb plate is a good place to rest your thumb when actually using the knife. The ergonomics are really good for edge forward grips. Holding it edge in might be a little bit of an issue if that's a way that you like to use a knife, but for edge out, it really doesn't get much better than this. As you can see, I can open and close my hand, and the knife pretty much just follows my fingers. So really excellent handle shape. You can't slip off of the knife. Your hand can't slide forward on this handle. Also, it does come with a lanyard hole, which you can see I have made use of. So you do have the option of a lanyard on your knife, or if you don't like lanyards, obviously you don't have to use it. Now for the cons of this knife. One con for most people will be the weight. This is a pretty hefty knife. For me, I don't really care. I carry this and it's really not a big deal, but if you're someone who likes really light knives, you probably won't like this. It's over 1/2 pound. Also, the width compared to a cell phone case, as you can see, it is pretty wide. Again, for me, that doesn't bother me one bit. But for some people, this is going to be pretty chunky in your pocket. You do have a bit of protrusion from your pocket as well with the handle. This isn't a super deep carry clip, but again, honestly, it doesn't bother me how much handle sticks out of my pocket with this knife. But if you're someone who likes super deep carry, this may not be the knife for you. One thing I can say that I would like to see changed is there is some overhang of the scales right here by the triad lock. It's not uncomfortable when holding the knife, but I would just like to see that fixed. It would really show, in my opinion, more attention to detail. One thing too is with this knife, unfortunately, you can't really just remove that material, because if you did, you would be pretty much right at the steel liner. So that steel liner would be exposed. Also, this knife has some jimping right here. To me, it's pretty much useless. So I would rather not even have that there because it doesn't serve a purpose. It just marks up the scales a little bit, as you can see right there. But to be fair, this knife doesn't really need jimping. It locks your hand right into place. But personally, if I were to change something, I would just have that go away. So do I think this knife is worth the money, and would I recommend it to you? If you are someone that doesn't mind carrying a knife that's a little bit heavier or a little bit chunkier, then by all means, get it. I personally enjoy a knife that's a little bit bigger because my thought is with the really slim handles, yeah, they're great in your pocket, but if you actually have to use your knife, then it can be uncomfortable in the hand. This is more comfortable in the hand. Also, personally, my thought is that I carry a phone this size. This is obviously just the case. So, what's a knife that's smaller than my phone? Now, some people though may say they already have this in their pocket. They don't want this in their pocket, and that's understandable. However, again, if you don't mind the size and the weight, this is a good choice for you. Just make sure that it is legal where you live because this is a 4.5-inch blade and there are quite a bit of places that this is not legal. So that's pretty much it. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next video.